Thank you for allowing us to take a quick break. We're going to return to the budget hearings for March 28, 2012. We are now moving on to the Water and Sewer Fund revenue.
Thank you, Mayor. On the big screen, we've got the revenue history for the Water and Sewer Fund. Revenue has approximately 10 to 12 line items that make up the bulk of the revenue for the Water and Sewer Fund, with the first one being Sprint, and the second one being Talico. Those are set amounts per month. We have the budget in for those. We estimate in selling approximately $2,000 worth of public safety supplies next year. On the metered water sales, the increase, there's just a small increase there, and that is built into our water rates. That will be a 3% increase beginning July 1st. We do have some revenue for the fire hydrant rental. I base that on the historical information at $40,000. Inspection fees, estimating about $1,500. Backflow device inspection, about $20,000. Backflow device permit fee, about $2,000. Disconnect fee at $195,000. That was previously, let's see, disconnect fees. Yeah, that's $195,000. Last year we collected about $221,000. We started setting that up. It used to be in a miscellaneous account, and now we're breaking that out so we can see what those fees actually are. Forfeited discounts and penalties, estimated about $100,000. Installation charges, we're estimating about $70,000. Miscellaneous water, about $2,000, and this is where the disconnect fees used to be. That's why there was a $175,000 budget last year. We changed that during the budget year. The auditor seen that there was a lot of miscellaneous revenue, and they wanted to identify it. We identified it as the disconnect fee. Sewer charges, that is an increase of 6%. Sewer inspection fees were estimated about $1,000. Forfeited discounts and penalties for sewer, $125,000, and approximately $7,000 in interest earnings. That's going to give us about $10,025,000 in revenue for the water sewer fund. And then when you add in the tap fees, which we've estimated about $60,000 for water tap fees, $85,000 for sewer tap fees, and $10,000 for special assessments. That gives us a grand total of $10,180,000 for the revenues. Down below that, I have done a little bit of summary so we can see where we're at total-wise. Expenses for all the various departments that are under the water sewer fund is $9,023,872. That will give us or leave us in the bank at about $6.4 million. From that $6.4 million for next year, we are anticipating about $1.5 million in capital projects. Now, we have capital items and capital projects. This is only the capital project side because capital projects do not get budgeted as a line item. Therefore, I wanted to identify these so that we could see how our cash flow is going to be. And I have listed the capital projects I think you should have it on your copy there. There's a summary of what projects will be included. To our cash balance, we will add back depreciation because that is not a cash output. There is $3.1 million that's set up in the LGIP fund for Waldron Road, and then we will have $1,060,000 that we'll be paying out in principal that does not get budgeted on the line item. At the end of next year, based on these revenues and expenses, we should have approximately $2.5 million in cash in the bank account.
We'll start with
start with a recap, another recap sheet here. This is basically the same information. It just breaks out how much is going to each department. We've got the $10,025,000 plus the tap fees down at the bottom of $155, and you've got the $9.8 million in expenses. That's just another recap sheet that summarizes by department. Now, looking at the first department is our water treatment plant. Other wages is the allocations from finance and engineering and HR and IT that gets charged back to the water treatment plant. Of course, we have electricity at $380,000. We have water at $5,000, phones at $5,000, and of course the audit service for $5,000. And then we have $1,027,520 budgeted for other professional services, which is our Severn Trent contract. That's an increase of approximately 3% year over year, and that's based on well, my mind was blank.
Is that the consumer
Price
index?
index, sorry. My mind was blank there for a minute. We have $75,000 in for maintenance service. We added in $10,000 for repair and maintenance to the building, $29,000 for the water storage maintenance, $100 for supplies, $500 for operating supplies, $500,000 for chemicals. We reduced that from last year's budget based on what we're seeing as a forecast for this year. Looks like our chemical usage has gone down a little bit this year, and so we took the budget down a little bit. We didn't want to take it down too much. Communication, $5,000. That's for our lease, Motorola.
Can I ask a question about the chemicals?
Sure.
Do they purchase those?
What is it?
Do Severn and Trent purchase those? They decide who they're buying chemicals from?
Yes.
Does the
Yes.
city do that? That way we can get a better price on them?
The city pays for it, and they pick the bid.
We bid it out. They basically tell us what chemicals they need, and we bid it out.
Okay. Just curious.
$50,000 for insurance, that's property and vehicle insurance, $540,000 for depreciation. Just today, I had to make a change for property taxes. We are now being billed from the county for the cell tower property taxes. So we do have that expense now. And then we have $262,000 for building improvements. This is part of our capital plan. The mayor wanted to split that over 3 years, I believe.
Yes, you know the sheet, we had the A sheet and the B sheet where we're trying to do the improvements. Well, these are improvements that's they're being done, but they're not being done in 1 year. So what we've done is allocated so much and keeping it in line. We've got the money there when they're doing it, but we were trying to put it all in 1 year, and it's not going to be done. So we've taken it and just divided that monies out, and I think it rounded off to what, $262,000 a year, and that's more than enough to do any project that is being done at that time. So we know they're all not going to be done right now. So we thought that would make it a little easier to handle and put it in there. So we're trying our best to be realistic as what's going to transpire each year, and that's what we've come up with, and still get the job done.
Can I go back to Chris's question a minute? He asked if we bid out the chemicals, and my understanding is that, are we mandated to do that? In other words, or is it something that Severn Trent could buy, as they have plants all over the place? Could they buy in bulk and get a cheaper deal than us? While they're, where we go in the future is a different.
Well, they charge 10% upcharge if they buy.
Okay.
So I think it's just been, I don't know if anybody's ever investigated you know, what the difference in price, but they do charge.
Now, is that contractual that it's 10% upcharge? And it's them buying in bulk with their other water treatment plants? Is there, have we ever looked into if there's
I
any
don't think we've
savings?
ever looked at it, into that.
I just like to say we're getting the best deal on chemicals.
Best deal by volume generally. What they may not want to do is have a bunch of large storage tanks on the grounds out there. But they might pay for themselves very quickly if, you know, gas is $1 a gallon instead of $2. Same
I know a lot of
analogy for chemicals.
A lot of different kind of chemicals they'll provide you with a tank if you buy enough.
That, you're exactly right.
I mean, that's like fuel. If you buy enough fuel, they're gonna provide you with a tank or fertilize.
It's not gonna cost us anything to ask these questions. And that's all, that's.
It's money.
that's
I
a lot
mean,
of
and it may be a
cash.
pain for them, but it might cost save us a lot of money.
Yeah. Good, very good questions.
We have any other questions for the water treatment plant? If not, we'll move on to sewer maintenance. As far as the wages and benefits, those have been increased 3% based on the increase that has been allowed for everyone. Moving on down to employee education and training. They have requested $2,000, which is a reduction to the prior year of $500. Postage, they've asked to stay the same. Printing and stationery stay the same. Subscription and licensing, they are only requesting $350. They think that will cover their license issue. Membership and registration fees, they've requested that to be increased to $4,500, and if you'll look at what was spent this year, that's in line with what's being spent. Electricity, we increased that by $5,000. Water, we increased $400. Sewer, we increased by $48,000. That's due to the metro rate increase, because that does go up every year. Gas, we're keeping that budget the same because it looks like we're kind of coming in at around $13.81, so we thought $1,500 would be enough. Telephone and cell phones, of course, we've noticed that increase across the board in most all departments. That we increased that to $15,000.
On the telephones, is this for the new phone systems?
Yes, right now we're seeing an increase because we're not under a contract, so TAMCO is increased.
My next question is, with this new telephone system,
It
will
could
they be
possibly-
able to transfer the calls to water billing? Because I know at this time they can't. I asked TJ about that.
Like when we get the new phone system,
Will they be getting the new same phone system, and will they be able to transfer a call? If somebody's calling out there wanting a water billing question, can they transfer it?
like Joanne transfers it to everywhere.
Can who
That's a
transfer?
TJ.
Can who transfer?
Water treatment.
Well, this is the
Oh,
sewer. This is sewer.
I'm sorry, I got off on all that thing.
Must be the Public Works
but-
building and.
Okay.
Yeah, but still, the phones are in each of these offices, so.
I'm sorry, I got off somewhere else.
But you were really right, because even though we're gonna have to do the new system, but we all, remember last year, what was it? We had our contract was this time, but the phones are coming out this time, and so we knew this year we're gonna have to do the whole new
And I know
system.
TJ just this week talked to me a little bit about the phones, and he says that he's still investigating phones and phone services, and he's looking at some competitive pricing, and hopefully then the phones may come down. So hopefully we won't spend as much on phones next year, but just in
I'm sorry, I
case.
got off on a whole other subject.
You had other things on your.
Well, I was just thinking, because I know they can't transfer a call, because I had to ask about that. I was thinking we were still on water treatment.
Our next line is the Audit Service. They did not increase their fees this year, so we left that at $5,000. We did not increase the architecture and engineering services, which is mostly CTI. We left that at $60,000. Other professional services, this covers our one call, Tennessee One Call, and any other legal issues that we have. We dropped that to 10,000. Repair and maintenance for sewer. This covers their general maintenance, which is Clean Harbor, Jacobs Construction, and this was also where we added a capital item, which was the repair of the manholes. I think we added $30,000 here. The next line down, it was also repair and maintenance of motor vehicle. This is also repair. This is the camera truck maintenance of $5,000. This was also in the capital plan. Repair and maintenance building, we left it at 5,000. Fleet is at 15,000. We did not increase that year over year. Office supplies, we increased that by $500. Small items of equipment, we reduced that by $5,000. Operating supplies, this covers our Southern Sales, miscellaneous, Siemens, and Wascon. And we've been seeing an increase in that, so we bumped that up a little bit this year. In our chemical and laboratory, we had a budget of 50, and there was a capital request of the odor control chemicals, so $30,000 is added to this line. Household and janitorial, there was no increase requested. That's staying at 1,000. Clothing and uniforms was increased by $500. Fuel staying about 30,000. Looks like we're going to come in about 25 this year. Hopefully we can keep that cost down. Communication lease 5,000. Microsoft licensing 5430. That's an annual renewal. Insurance, we're leaving it 50, where we increased it just a little bit to $50,000. Machinery and equipment rental is at $3,000. Depreciation, approximately $740,000. And then we added in some other improvements which will cover, this is part of our capital items. This is the Hurricane Creek flow monitoring, the billing meter flow monitoring, the grease vac and disposal, the MWS flow meter electronics, and the SCADA. Again, that was a Hurricane Creek flow monitoring, billing meter flow monitoring, the grease vac and disposal, the MWS flow meter electronics, and the SCADA. Those were all capital items that were on the capital list. And then, of course, the tanker truck, and there was 112 for the tanker truck, and then I think 8,000, and I wasn't sure what the 8,000, it just says PP repair. Greg, do you?
Patch and replace repair kit. This allows us to repair inflow issues in sewer lines to keep rainwater out without digging the road up in some instances.
Okay. I probably need to move that 8,000 then up to the maintenance line.
I'd put it on the operating expenses probably.
Right, I wasn't sure if it was something that went along with the truck.
It's not one $8,000 item, it's a compilation of items that add up to $8,000.
Okay.
And the only thing I think that we did not do on the water, on the sewer, was the sewer laborer. And we've got some thoughts there. We didn't give the water laborer, and we didn't give the sewer laborer, because what we're wanting to talk to this board about, I've already talked with Phyllis. Matter of fact, it was Phyllis that kind of brought me around on the water meters. We'll get to that in a minute. But we have a plan that we're going to present to you during the water, and it's going to probably cover down the road those two laborers. So we'll explain that later, but that's the only thing on the capital plan. We stuck to our 5-year plan and this year's budget on the sewer. So we were pretty tickled with that. Did I explain everything on that one?
Do we have any questions about the sewer budget? If not, we'll move on to the water maintenance. Again, wages and benefits increased based on 3%. Employee education and training, we left that at $36,000. That's to cover some training that did not happen this year. It's the PPE, PSHA training. Postage we reduced by $50. We left the printing and stationery the same, subscriptions the same. Membership and registration fees stayed the same. Electricity, we bumped that up to $50,000, which is a $2,000 increase. Water, we bumped that up to $700. Gas, $1,500. Phone again, we've seen the increase in the phone charges, so we bumped that up to $13,000 from $6,000. $3,500 for the audit service. Architectural and engineering, we left that at $80,000, which is the same as prior years, and it's about what we're running year to date is $80,000. Other professional services, that would be Tennessee One Call and Heartland Services. And then on the repair and maintenance service, that's mostly, general maintenance, heat and air, Thompson machinery, just miscellaneous repair and maintenance items. And then on the building maintenance, he reduced that to $2,500 from $5,000. Fleet water, fleet expenses are, we've estimated about $14,000 for that. Hopefully it'll come in less. We've got hopefully that'll work out. Travel, we added left it the same as $200. Office supplies and material, we left the same as $2,400. Small items of equipment is the same as prior year budget, $20,000. Operating supplies, we reduced that by $50,000. Well, actually, we reduced it by 100, and then we added back 50 for the electronic meter reads, electronic read meters. And that's where we're going to probably look at financing those over a period of time.
We've met with 2 different companies. It's still dealing with the Badger meters. They're very easily to change over what we have to the electronic. We've discussed at great length. Greg's done a lot of research. We've brought people in. We've all been in on those meetings. And it's a huge savings changing those meters out.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've done in the capital plan, we added $50,000 for the all the way up to 21-22 a year to do this over time. Well, both companies that have come in here has said your greatest savings is when you do it now, because you will start seeing the savings, if I understood that correctly, because you've got water. Literally, we're missing water. I know that sounds funny, but get all the meters done at once. And Phyllis, and y'all know how tight Phyllis is. So she is not going to let us get out on a limb if that limb has a possibility of breaking. She's been in those meetings with us. We've trusted her with our financing. I think we should have trust their opinions now, because that's their specialty. Hers is in the bookkeeping and the money. His is in the meters and the water. He's been in this. It's not something that they just dreamt up overnight. Says, I think I like it. They've put a great deal of thought, study into this. And what we'd like to do is just go on and do the meters. We've got the money already there. It's worked in to put those in. That's where the 2 people are going to come in. Obviously, we have 5 people that currently do our meter reading. Once this is all implemented and into place, 2 people. 1 could really do it, but you've got to have that 2 in there for different things. That's going to leave us 3 people, and we would like to be able to give them the option, if they so choose, to go into the water or sewer.
If you don't mind, everyone, the $50,000 we stuck in there for 10 years is not enough to pay for the entire conversion project. We think this is literally about a $2 million project. Okay, so $2 million financed over some number of years. If it's 10, that's $200,000 a year to pay back. But all the while, we're likely gaining revenue because of improving the water loss situations. Old meters read slow. new meters read right. Now, the public side of this will have to be dealt with, because you're gonna get some folks that say, my water bill went up. Well, it should have. It just finally did today because there's a new meter involved. So it's not a $500,000 project. There's labor involved. It's taken on a contractor to do the 11,000 meters install all over a few months' time.
And they've assured us that it will help it pay for itself.
We'll
And
generate,
that's-
we'll generate more revenue, we'll save on labor, and we'll be in a much better place technologically speaking, in that I mean, this is 1995 technology, by the way. It's not brand new. So I think it's time that we strongly consider going after it.
Well, with that said, what we'll do is we'll look, whenever we get a formal presentation, we'll look at what the savings is and, you know, what extra revenue we're gonna have coming in versus the 50,000 we have in the budget.
Right.
So it may offset one another.
I mean, we don't know. This
Oh,
is
yes.
what we're wanting to present. But we're just telling you why we took out certain things that we did, because this is what we would like to take a good, long, hard look at. Also, we took out, we've got to do, and we know it's coming, the 24-inch water line from Parthenon to our water plant. We started the negotiations Monday with the Corps. That's going to be a lengthy process. Okay, we're still on those cornflowers.
We almost
Now
never
it's
got-
bats and trees and, but the conversation went really well, because we're looking at the old road bed. In the meantime, we've also got another project it's separate. We're going to try to carry it together about the Greenway. They were pretty excited about that, making all that work. With all that being said, there's a whole lot more to it, but it's not going to happen this year. So there's $2 million that we've allocated for that we're moving to the next year, okay? So you're not going to have that $2 million this year. It'll be this time next year probably before we get our answer from the Corps.
Oh, it may be
It may
later
be
than
longer.
that.
The 2 million, 2.1 million that was allocated, with the Corps saying that they're probably going to make us pay for extra storage. I'm not sure any of us at this table will be here when the Corps and all them get through fighting with that. But be that as it may, we also know that's not going to transpire in this year. So we also moved that. And I would say probably each board from here on will probably move it one more year until we see some final numbers coming down on that. So those are two big projects. That's what, 4.1 million that we've moved until they prove to us, number one, that we're going to have to pay the 2.1, which we don't know. That's a big if. But the 2 million we know is coming, but we know it's not coming this year. So those two things were moved.
Let me ask this question. When we went in front of the utility board in July, they were a little iffy on our fund balance, and especially with if that happens. Is this going to put us back into a situation? Will this have anything where the state could come back and say, wait, you know,
Oh,
we don't,
this year? No.
No.
down the road?
Down the road, it's according to how we fund the 24-inch water line and how we fund the Corps. You know, if we decide to do it through some debt service funding, then as long as we are still running in the black, not in the red. And on the first page, you know, I showed you where with the items, capital projects and the items that we have in here, we still will have a $2.5 million balance.
And I know we were talking right around there, and I just know that they questioned us on the way out to make sure that we maintained a certain balance, and that's all. I didn't want to fall below again and go back into that situation.
No, and that's why we're trying to build, you'll notice in each one of these, we've tried to build our funds up just enough that we're not caught again, with any major disasters or major breakdowns on any of these, we've got that money in there. Now, it's gonna look like we have more. Remember, we've got, what, 3.1 million that's gone. It's in that account, but it's gone. It's spent on Waldron Road. So that money is covered. It looks like it's in our account, but it's not. So we can't count it for anything but Waldron Road.
Right.
And what we're trying to do, honestly, if we go back to the MTAS study, you know, they were wanting us to borrow this year. We're doing everything feasibly possible to get as much of this infrastructure fixed that needs fixing and paying for it outright. That's our goal. If we can do that, even if we can do that for the next 2 years, once those, if we happen to have to go to the Corps, you know, maybe we won't have to borrow what they said. They said they wanted us to borrow $8 million. Yeah. So, you know, we're really trying to watch what we're spending, watch what we've got here, fix as much as possible, and pay for it. Once this year, this budget that we've got on here, we are paying for.
Just going back to the 3.1, is there a possibility that that comes back at the end of the project and it's more, or could it be less? Could it be?
Well, we know that when it was bid out more than what we put in this LGIP fund. So we're hoping we'll get some money back on that. I don't know, I haven't heard of anything of it going over.
That would be great. I guess I'm more worried, could it be more? And we don't have it, and we're not looking ahead to that.
We, you know, until they come before us and ask for change orders, we don't.
Okay.
They wouldn't. Well, I guess they go to the state for change orders, so I don't know how we could answer that. But I do remember when it was bid out, and we had already set aside 3.1 based on the state's requirement. That's what they required us to set up in a special account. And when the bid came back, it was two or $2.5 million. So hopefully they won't go over the $3 million. The next line item is janitorial supplies. We reduced that line item by $250. Clothing and uniforms, increased that to by $2,000. Repair and maintenance supplies, we're keeping that the same. Fuel, we increased by $5,000. Repair parts for water and sewer, this is items that we sell and bill the customer for, and that's why you see it as a credit. Communication lease metro contract, we left it the same as $5,000. Computer maintenance is a Microsoft licensing, which should be the same every year. Fire hydrant repair, we left in $20,000 for the repair. Insurance, we increased a couple $1,000s to $47,000. Machinery and equipment rental, we increased that by $500 to $1,000. Depreciation, we're leaving about the same at $500,000. Bank service charges increased it to $16,000 from $12,000 over the prior year. And looks like a service charge is going to come in about $15,000 this year. And then we've added some capital items, one of them being a 3/4 ton truck on the transportation line. And then under other machinery and equipment, we added a backhoe, a hammer for the backhoe, a diesel tank, and extended reach valve operator.
She's got it written.
Okay, because that's not showing on ours.
No, it
I mean, the
won't
price,
show on
the
ours, yeah.
amount.
That's my cheat.
No, the amount's different.
The mounts were $94,000.
Oh, it's not on there.
The amounts are different. We're showing 14,000.
She's just calling.
Where you see 14,000?
142.
On 949, which is other machinery and equipment,
Uh-huh.
up there you got 126,838.
Uh-huh.
Right
Ours
here
is
we got
14.
14,838.
Oh, really?
And on the
You moved some
transportation
stuff from
equipment,
transportation down.
transportation equipment, we got 142,000.
It adds up to the same one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
just, I
Maybe
can
your
see the
copy
difference.
was just,
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right, it does add up.
Yeah. I mean, I've got, no. Okay.
I'm just trying to follow along, and I got confused right
Well, let me
there.
make sure then the totals on the,
So I was
And we
looking-
marked it also on our
if you'll,
capital projects for you.
and if you'll look on the summary sheet, as long as the department totals, what is your total? Well, it's 17,020, yeah.
It'd come up to 156,838. It's just,
That
It's-
is,
it's
that is
just
just really
different.
strange.
And on the pump station for Walden Road, Greg, we've got it at 450. I'm not comfortable with that.
The number is 700.
Okay.
I believe 250 of it was originally planned to be an 11. So 250 and 450 is 700.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because, I'm just showing 450 and 1213. And either way, whether we go through the state, everybody, or if we buy the piece from Cineram, or, it's not Cineram, but,
Century
yeah, people that own Centerpoint, we're gonna have to pay for it.
or Crescent.
Crescent, yes. We'll have to pay for it. So, we're at this point, I mean, we're still going through the state, trying to get that piece of state property that's down from the parking rod. They have said that we're still in the process of where we're, and I don't know which committee we're in by now, but either way, because we are using it to sell water. They cannot give it to us, they don't want to lease it to us because we're putting a permanent facility on that. So we're gonna have to pay fair market value for it. So either way, and then, like I said, Crescent said, ooh, we're willing to work with you. It's the property right beside it. Crescent didn't know they owned it. Now they know they own it.
Oh,
Yeah.
they didn't know they
They
owned
didn't
it.
know it was theirs. Now they know it's theirs. So we don't know how, that'll be probably September before we get all that figured out. But either way, we know we're gonna have to pay for one side or the other to put our pumping station there. But both of them have been wonderful in helping and working with
They
us.
were really good, because I was here when they first,
Greg, you're saying that we already have 250,000 budgeted for this year already, so
Where
you're,
I saw it in the former capital.
Okay, that's, I just wanna make sure that we've got enough there to cover the pumping station and everything that goes along with it, whether it be land or, you know, engineering services, the construction of it.
If it would help, I could have Greg give us
Sort of a new guesstimate on that, including property.
Yeah, and just making sure that, you know, because we've got, I want to make sure it's there. And if we might have to kind of slide something else off to the next, whatever, but that is a have-to case there. So that's the only one that makes me a little nervous. I just want to make sure we have what we need there. And I believe you are right, we put money in this year's budget for that. And then because at that time, we didn't know if we were going to be able to buy the land or what with that. So I believe you are correct in that.
I think what happened on this formula here is I had moved some of the capital projects around to different lines, and evidently made my copy before my final version, so. But in total, it should total up to the 1703,276.
We got
Because
the
your
total.
line item.
It does, it come up
It
right.
come
It
out- we
just,
got the total.
the prices were different,
Okay,
or the amount.
because on the version that's on the screen, the transportation equipment line is less than the other machinery equipment, so that's where I moved them around. Evidently, I didn't save the version and printed them off before I did that. Okay. Moving on, do we have any other questions? If not, I'll move on to water billing. We have our wages. Down to postage, we increased just a little bit to $1,250, and that was just based on what I was seeing in the forecast for this year. It was around $1,230. Left printing and stationery the same. Cell phones, for some reason, we're not seeing a lot of charges to this department, so I think that there's a billing issue there somewhere. We'll try to get that resolved. Accounting and auditing service, that's our year-end Howell audit. Arista, it's coming in about 68,000. I rounded that up to 70,000. Repair and maintenance, this is our local government maintenance, annual maintenance renewal. Fleet, we're leaving that at 8,000. We added in $100 for the Fox collection fees. Office supplies and materials, we kept at $4,500. Small items of equipment, we left it at 1,000. Operating supplies, we decreased that by 500. Clothing and uniforms, we decreased that by 800. Fuel, we increased that by 5,000. We left the computer equipment, which is the Microsoft licensing, the same. Increased the insurance a little bit to 47 and 45. Depreciation, increased that just a little bit to 6,000. The reason we increased that generally is when we've added a fixed asset, which last year I think we added a vehicle. Transportation equipment, we are adding one new vehicle for the water, for the meter readers, and then we're adding a laser fish scanner. And that is that was on the capital plan. On the capital plan, the truck was only listed at 15, but Felicia checked the price, and for a little bit more, we could get a brand new one. Or actually, maybe on the capital plan it was listed as 10. I have to look at the capital plan and see. We increased it. What we decided to do is to not. Let's see. It was listed. Sorry, it was listed as 15. We increased it to 16.5. We have in the water billing department a vehicle in the budget for this year, 11-12, and what I asked the mayor to do is to allow me to not purchase that one this year, and then in the fiscal year 12-13 to purchase one brand new truck. We were going, and for the 10,000 would only get us another good used vehicle, and I want to postpone that and just purchase one new truck. And that's it for the water billing. Any questions? If not, the last portion of our water and sewer fund is the debt service. We have bond amortization cost, and then we have the interest on the bonded debt, bank service charges, and then of course we have bad debt expense. And this is the part of the sheet that if I were doing this the way I would like to do it, you would see the interest, the principal payments on here, but for whatever reason, governmental accounting doesn't require you to budget for principal payments. So going back to recap, you know, we've got $10.1 million coming in revenue, 9.8 going out in expenses. We've got some another $1.5 million going out for capital projects, adding back the depreciation, not touching the reserve for Walden Road, and the $1 million expense for debt service will leave us approximately $2.5 million.
What was it, when we were sitting down to do this, she said we couldn't go over 2.5 million. I think we came up at
2.3. I think if you'll look at your
your
capital sheets, there are 3 pages in the very back of your. We came in at 2.274. So.
Good job.
Roll that up where you can see the projects there.
Okay, guys, do we have any questions of Greg or Phyllis? Is there any discussion y'all want to talk about? Is there anything else for today's that we need to bring out?
I don't know if you want to, today's water and sewer, but about 3 or 4 meetings ago, we asked Ricky to look into going back to general fund capital projects, or I don't know if it would be, I guess it would be capital projects. We had asked him to look into the lightning protection. We haven't discussed that at all.
You know what?
And
That is true.
We have it.
And he had said he had some prices, but And then I guess there'd be questions, would that go to parks, or would that go to emergency services, or?
Did we put anything in this year's budget? I thought we put some back for this year for something.
In the 12-13 budget, we just did the.
No, I mean 11 and 12. Because remember we were talking about the lightning?
The only thing we added in this year was for the alarm,
Code red?
no, the weather, I call it, it's not the weather alarm system, but you know, we had added that and then took it out, but we didn't add anything for lightning
Okay.
when we took that out.
Get with Ricky and because I know we had once discussed at least put the lightning rod, especially now that the last storm, it just took out a bunch of our lights.
Yeah.
It literally hit, you know, we got to get through people's head. When it hit that, it gets in those dugouts. We had some dead children.
You had some pricing and so on. So.
Get with Ricky.
Okay.
And when do we have another budget?
That's what we were going to discuss. Do you want to have any more budget meetings, or do you want to
Go to full
go to
council?
the council
It's
at the
up to
workshop?
Or to a
'Cause,
workshop?
I mean, the only changes I have are just small changes,
Mhm.
you know, that y'all have requested, you know, the nonprofit changes, and then, I think there was a couple of other changes today, and then, there was very few.
It makes sense just to
Special
do it
revenue
at a
to seniors.
workshop.
We can do it at a workshop. It's this
Because
board's
it's
pleasure.
not that much left to
I
do.
mean, we've done the hard work, and like I said, things like the lightning detection, you're not talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars,
Right.
you know.
Sure.
Um,
25,000.
Yeah, certainly. Let's get that, let's just plan the workshop then, I would say.
I was wanting to ask, since the new Box 100 chief's here,
Yes,
would it be appropriate for him to speak for a few minutes, you know?
absolutely. This
since
is a
it was
workshop.
Kind of
Yeah.
asked to not give him any money, but get a new chief that's here.
Absolutely. You're welcome to step up to the podium and introduce yourself.
And maybe give us a rundown of
Absolutely.
what his plans are to.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Alderman, other city officials. My name is Mike Bunch. As of, I guess, last Monday, I was elected a new chief of Box 100. I have quite a bit of experience in emergency services field. I've got a bachelor's degree in emergency services field. I've spent 33 years in this field. So, like I said, I've got quite a bit of experience. I was approached and told that Box 100 was in the process of failing. I've lived in Laverne for 12 years now. I have kind of kept by myself because I was a employee of Nashville Fire. Whenever I was approached and told that there were some problems, I was asked if I thought I could help out. Due to my background and some leadership qualities and all that, I feel appropriate that I can assist. I was with Box 100 and still am with, Box 55, which is Nashville, similar to Box 100, and have been with them several years. My wife, Tracy, was the treasurer at Box 55, so we have quite a bit of experience. I have done quite a bit of training. I am looking forward to doing quite a bit of training with the Box 100 members. I'm looking forward to working with each and every one of you. My goal for Box 100 is to hopefully bring this organization back under control, bring it as a unit, and I want to help our members be a functioning part of this community. I want them to be able to do anything that is requested of the mayor, the alderman, the citizens, the police, the fire, anyone else that we need to, because we are here for you, we are here for the citizens, and we are here for the community of Laverne. This is where we live. This is a good operation. It needs to be brought under control, and I think I can do it. My assistant chief over there that was elected Monday night also, Tommy Gupton, has been quite a member, or has been a long-term member of Box 100. There are quite a few things that I'm thinking about doing with Box 100. A lot of those having the retraining for CERT, Citizens Emergency Response Team. Last night, we just had a weather spotters class, and it was standing room only at Station 3 in the boardroom. In April, I will be taking part in the Fire Department Instructors Conference in Indianapolis. It'll be my 31st time there. And I've already got meetings set up with Fire Corps officials. I've got meetings set up with United States Fire Administration officials. I've got meetings set up with other people up there to rectify situations that have not been rectified in the past. And with that and the training going on, I think that we can be a very, very active part of Laverne, and we're just here to serve you in any capacity we can.
Any questions?
Mayor, I do want to make a comment that Mr. Bunch has brought to my attention that he may not have all of his financial information that we need for budgets, but he will have it by the time we have the workshop.
That's fair. Thank you. We have any other questions or comments?
Are we going to be able to do everything? I know you probably anticipate they're going to come back with a request.
I think we would in a workshop.
And Vice Mayor also brought up if there was anything additional. I mean, you bring up the senior center again. And so if we have enough time, I mean.
Let's see, this is April. We don't vote on it till May and then the meeting in June. So we've got all of April. If Phyllis, if you start seeing that you think it's more than needs to be handled at the workshop, we can certainly work one in. We have to have, what, Bruce, 2 weeks to advertise?
About a week.
About a
usually.
week?
Week, 8 days.
She'll be, of course, she works on this continuously. You get in and say, ooh, I really don't, I think we need to have just one more, if it's 30 minutes. Just y'all get together. I'll go on and tell you right now, if you need it, call it. Just make sure we all are made aware of the time and the date that you want to do that.
Okay.
I mean, we'll just leave that up to y'all. Would you feel comfortable in doing that?
That's fine.
While we're all together, this was brought up to me by 2 different directors. Going back to the question I had about the lightning detection, would that be parks? Would that be emergency services?
I would say probably half and half.
Is it just for the parks?
Just for the park?
I'd say it'd be
Bigger
parks,
parks.
wouldn't it?
It could go either way.
Yeah, that's a good, those are good questions.
We're putting code red in.
Emergency services, aren't we? Yeah. Okay, I'm one of these, I'm like Phyllis. I like my stuff in lines. So when you pick up this paper, you're not hunting for everything. My brain is wanting to tell me to put it under emergency services because it tends to be emergency.
Right.
But now that's just me and my OCD wanting everything in its lines. So,
It's where the board would like to see it.
yeah, I mean,
Doesn't really matter either way.
as long as, you know, like I said, people like to see, even when you pick these up, you want to see your lines. So, but just go and get with Ricky and tell Ricky you could get her ASAP.
All right.
And probably go on and get Jeff in on that too, just to let them kind of,
I'm trying to get him in here. I don't know if he'll make it in
Yeah.
time. See
And
if
get
he
that
has a
done.
price.
Okay.
I'll send him a message to come in here if he's here.
He was here. I think he stepped in for a second earlier.
but I mean, we're down to just a hand,
Sure.
a couple of things I think can be worked in. We've done our biggest bulk. We've stayed well within our realm of what we were trying to stay within on either the general fund and with our biggie, the water and sewer. So, okay, does everybody have any other questions, comments, concerns? All right, I'm going to call this meeting adjourned.